Welcome to Evolution in Controls. I'm your host, Tim Wilson. Thank you for joining us. When it comes to factory automation, whether it's automated manufacturing or fast-moving consumer goods, the underlying requirement always seems to be, how can we physically do it faster? The conversations that flow from that question then tend to focus upon speeds, distances, loads, and rates. But what often goes missing or is overlooked is that an increase in physical speeds or a multiplication of process will bring about a multiplication of data and an exponential decrease in the amount of time available to process that information. Collecting and processing that information then becomes as critical as simply moving the product. And that means the attention must now turn to the image processing or the vision system. The technology behind collecting the information, interpreting, decoding the information, and then making decisions based upon the content of that information will decide the answer to the question of, can we go faster? And it will either be, we can or we can't. Here to talk with us today about some of the technology behind these systems and the tools available to make it work is Mr. Mark Berndt, founder of SVT or Simple Vision Technology. Mark, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about your company, Simple Vision Technology.
Simple Vision Technology. I'm the founder of the Simple Vision Technology. We started just about 4 years ago.
Okay.
We're a team of software engineers who are working to develop a single software interface that utilizes barcode reading, traditional vision, and AI in a single software interface at a centrally computed device that would allow us to leverage commercial off-the-shelf products.
Well, you don't look like you got out of college just 4 or 5 years ago, so I assume you have some industry experience then as well?
I do. I've been in the automotive manufacturing automation space for more than 27 years. I have a little over 5 years of that dedicated to the machine vision industry as well.
Okay. Well, what was the underlying idea? What was the reason that you created Simple Vision Technology? Before we get into the technology itself, why'd you start the company?
We've seen a problem. We've
Okay.
seen a problem with the industry, manufacturers struggling to manage different technologies like barcode, like vision, or AI, together with multiple hardwares, with multiple softwares. And we said this is a way that we could simplify it, and that is bring all of those technologies into a single interface.
What kind of troubles were they having? What kind of struggles were they having?
They were finding out that when you have a barcode system with a certain set of tools, a certain set of software, and a certain hardware that differs from a traditional vision system that has a different set of hardware, different set of software, and now AI brings in a whole nother set of technologies that are differentiating. And so their struggle was managing all of the different softwares, hardwares, and firmware.
So you're saying that a manufacturing process or maybe fast-moving consumer goods, something like that, it would have 2 or 3 of those systems, and they were each separate systems and operated separately and were independent?
Yes, absolutely. So you have to take care for the software communicating to a controller in an automated station, whether it's for barcode or for vision or for AI. And now all these different softwares have different configurations, and it's a lot to manage.
A different user interface.
A different user interface for each,
But
and a different software package altogether.
But I would imagine the communication, the flow of the data is also separate as well.
It would be, yes. So each device now all has to concern itself with the configuration and data transfer between a controller, a PLC, or whatever it is that's controlling the line. Also, if you have data that needs to be sent to a server, right now you have to manage not only the PLC or the controller communications, but also communications to a higher level server.
Well, I mean, let's talk about those 3 technologies. A barcode reader, it looks at the barcode and it interprets the information that is contained within that barcode. What is a traditional vision system? What is that doing?
Traditional vision systems, you take an image and you apply a rule, and those rules then are fixed. They're typically rules that are based upon pixel level.
A rule being, hey, is the paper square or is it not square.
Yeah, is it the right color? Is the text that needs to be there in place?
In place or not.
Yeah, what is the physical measurement of that?
Okay.
Right, you can look at threads, you can look at
Like
multiple
thread
things.
spacing or marred threads or...
Exactly, surface defects, you can look for patterns, you can look for edges and do measuring and things like
You
this.
called it rule-based. What is the rule that, hey, if this text is not there, then do something?
So the content is look for something. If I find that something, maybe do some additional processes. But if you don't have a good image, or if that rule isn't met, if the rules aren't met, then you don't get the pattern you're trying to find, or the original issue that you're trying to find. You really need to have a set rule in place for this traditional vision. And if it doesn't follow it, it doesn't see it.
Now, the last one that you mentioned was AI. Help me understand, what is AI in this technology? What is it doing?
So what it's doing is it's really good for the applications where you do not have a rule that could be applied. So an example may be finding a crack, a scratch, or a dent on a large sheet of metal. It would be very difficult to apply multiple rules to this large sheet of metal, where in AI you could take a single image and classify and tell it what is a break or a crack or a scratch or a dent, and then use an AI model that you've trained from that information to then produce an output.
So in other words, something that maybe looks like a scratch that a traditional system would say, hey, this is a scratch, but if somebody looks at it, that's not really a scratch, or it's not long enough.
Exactly. Those are the applications that AI works very well in. And those are the ones where if you look at it with the human eye and you can distinguish it differently, or good or bad, these are applications where AI tend to lend themselves very well.
It's looking at probabilities, isn't it? Isn't it looking at, or maybe percentages? Hey, this looks like, half of this looks like a scratch and the other half doesn't, so it's 50% maybe a scratch. Is that the way that it works?
Absolutely, yes. So going back to this example of the sheet metal with cracks, scratches, and dents, I tell it what those different defects are, the AI model, and then the AI model, when it looks or takes an image of future pictures, then it tells me with some level of certainty, I believe this is a crack, or with some level of certainty or some probability of success, this is a dent in that material. So it's not 100% with certainty. When you have a rule, if you don't match the rule, you fail.
Okay.
With AI, if you
I'm 70%. I'm 70% of the way towards failing. Is this actually a pass-fail?
Exactly. Yes, and that's when the operator needs to get involved, or a subject matter expert needs to be involved to say, well, it's 70% accurately thinking this is a defect. Is it really a defect?
And the thing that makes it artificial intelligence is that it learns from that input. It learns from that question.
It learns from the input. It learns from the classification, the segmentation from the subject matter experts, or the manufacturers saying this is a scratch, this is a dent. But under scenarios in the future, I think it needs to be incorporated that there are retraining images. Yeah.
All right. So those are the technologies. What are you guys doing with those technologies? What is so different about what you're doing?
So what we're doing is we've brought all of those three technologies into a single user interface. We're allowed to now compute all of the different processes in a central computing device, whether it's Windows, whether it's Linux, and be able to then distribute that data to all of the controllers that are needed. So now we're taking care of the processing in the computing device much quicker than you would on, let's say, a typical edge device.
But doesn't, I talked about speed. I talk about an exponential decrease in the time available. Doesn't bringing all of these into one box, one processing unit, one central process, doesn't that make it maybe slower? Doesn't that make more for it to do?
So the idea is that the central computing device is very strong, and it has a much stronger processor to handle all of the computing that needs to be done for these multiple jobs. The only latency that we would see is the time that it takes to transfer an image from a camera to the PC, but because of our PC processing and computing power, the time delay for the image transfer is overcome by this.
But that latency exists in each of the individual systems as well.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's not a new latency.
Right. Yes, exactly. But some people deploy vision on an edge device, and then the images
they process right on the edge.
They process directly at the edge, but a much smaller processor, and
not as fast and not as powerful.
And another software to manage, another hardware to manage, another firmware to manage, and another communication protocol to manage.
As you've implemented this solution, what kind of problems have you discovered, or what kind of problems have you overcome?
So the main problem I think that we've been really good at overcoming or achieving is that handling the data from multiple cameras and images coming into a central computing device and then distributing that data in a rapid manner is where we have really shined.
What about the AI portion of this? Are you helping with your software? Are you helping to create the AI models, or is it teach or train it? Are you guys helping?
So yes, so we help the customer with the AI interface as well, and in such a way that we provide the system that allows them to take the images to train a model. We help them and understand how to train models, and then we typically use a third-party model training company because of the idea is that the model is now the intellectual property of that end user.
Not of you, it's of them.
It's of them. It's their ownership. Their ownership.
But this is part of the service that you provide along with your hardware and software.
Yes. We provide the software, but if necessary, we can help all of our customers with the lighting, the lensing, the cameras, the computing devices, and all of the peripheral.
With the pace of change, certainly in AI model and AI learning, but also cameras and processing, what do you see as a roadmap for SVT 3 to 5 years down the road?
So what we see is still computing in a centrally location is going to get faster and faster. Cameras are going to get better and better. Chip manufacturing is getting better and better. Computers will be faster. So this is the other advantage that we have by focusing on the software that allows us to make sure all of the connectivity is functional while also leveraging the newest technology as it becomes available. With a traditional edge device, if you're computing and taking images directly at the edge, you're bound to the hardware that you have, and that technology doesn't keep up with the changes that we can see in the other industries.
So what you're saying is, as the sensor technology, the cameras, as they develop, you're going to be able to accommodate changes as it happens because you bring it in rapidly.
Rapidly, yes, because we can modify the software in order to not only handle the previous, but also to handle the newest. And so we can focus on the newest technologies that come out. And this is how we can stay ahead of all of the latest and greatest technology as well and leverage that.
Well, maybe in a couple of years, as the technology advances, maybe you'll come back and we'll talk about how you've accomplished things on your roadmap.
Love to. I would love to.
Mark, thanks very much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
To learn more about Simple Vision Technology, visit simplevisiontechnology.com. To learn more about Evolution Motion Solutions, visit evolutionmotion.com. Don't forget to subscribe to Evolution in Controls on whatever platform you use for podcasts or on YouTube for a video version so you can be updated when we release new episodes. Thank you again for joining us today. I'm Tim Wilson, and remember, keep moving.